I thank everyone for settling 2 minutes earlier in the stage, in the hall. If you have knowledge, let others light a candle in it, said by Margaret Fuller, an American journalist. This is the place we share knowledge, and then this knowledge are helping others to grow their leadership skills and speaking skills. This is called upon Sergeant at Arms. To gain knowledge, we follow few meeting etiquettes that are: please switch off your mobile phone or put it in on silent mode. I give 10 seconds for doing that. Move only when you hear applause. Please refrain from talking about SRP, IT and finance professional. It is not strategic resource planning, it is sex, religion and politics. After my graduation, within 4 months, I started my professional career in construction industry. For 6 months, I struggled a lot to learn Hindi because I'm from Tamil Nadu. Like, we don't want to learn Hindi. Somehow I managed. And to manage labors, I struggled a lot because I'm a newcomer to the industry. After 2 years, it became my part of my life and it became like routine. I was searching for new opportunities to help myself and then learn new things. But I will think about for some time, and after 2 days, I forgot everything and I will go back to my routine works. During COVID, I had a lot of time. I thought of I started watching YouTube videos, like motivational videos from many persons and professionals. I heard one guy was saying that you should run in the morning, you should get new beginning. It will help your mental and physical strength. I started doing that. It helped me to think out of box and change my profession. This today's meeting, going back to drawing board, is the same with me. While I get stuck with anything, I go for running in the morning at Cupboard Park. I think a lot while running. This helped me a lot to change me as a person. Now I am introducing a person who is a charming, and if you see her smile everything with all the person she sees. And then if you need any help, you can directly contact her. She don't have time, but she will give some 2 minutes or 3 minutes after 1 day or 2 days. And she's the one main reason for me to taking up the sergeant at arms roles at this club. She was helping now also for my content and everything. She is an IT professional and she loves doing workout at 5 a.m. I don't know how she is doing that. Please help me in welcoming Toastmaster Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Sajana, for such a wonderful introduction. Fellow Toastmasters and your guests, a warm welcome to Bangalore Toastmasters Club. I would like to open meeting number 1394. The minutes of meeting were shared to all of you via WhatsApp and email. Are there any amendments?
No.
Thank you. Then I pass the minutes of meeting number 1393. to the first time guests who are present here today. I would request you all to please raise your hands and let me know your name and how did you hear about Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Please raise your hands, the first time guests. Thank you. May I know your name, please? And how did you hear about Bangalore Toastmasters Club? Your friend.
He tagged me.
Nice. And I hope to see you more in our club meetings.
I don't live here, so I mean, first and last.
So probably whenever you come to India.
Thank you.
I really look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
My name is Sanghamitra.
Sorry?
Sanghamitra.
Sanghamitra.
This is my third meeting actually as a guest. And I got to know about Toastmasters through Meetup website.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. Thank you. Any other guests?
Mohan Kumar.
Mohan Kumar.
I got to know about from Google. I said searches myself to improve my English.
Oh, lovely. Nice. And I hope to see you more in our club meetings.
Yeah.
Fellow Toastmasters, how do we welcome our guests? I would like to let you all know, in the year 2014 onwards, till 2017 or 18, was not a very good phase of my life. I was literally derailed, emotionally and in every aspect. And that is when this one person's story caught my attention. I was never a sports person or never understood sports that much. But thanks to my 9 brothers, who I'm always surrounded with, and they are so much into sports that whatever knowledge or about the personalities of the sports person that I get to know, it's only because of them. And one of the sports personalities that caught my attention, which I'm sure you all would resonate, was none other than Virat Kohli. When he started his journey as a cricketer, he was doing amazing. At a very young age, full of energy, he was doing exceptionally well on the field. He was almost compared, if I'm not wrong, to Sachin Tendulkar because he also started his cricketing career around the same age. Almost a similar story that happened also with Virat Kohli when he started his cricketing career. But as time went, I think all of us fall into that same shell that when success reaches, we stop realizing how to channelize that success. And that is something also that happened to Virat Kohli. He was a very, very energetic kid at that time. And anything was given to him, he would give his best because he was full of energy. But as time went, he did not know how to channelize that. His cricketing career was not doing that well during the period 2012 to 2016. And he did not know how to go forward. He did get a lot of chance to go on the fields and prove himself. At one time he used to do well, at the next time things used to not go his way. That's when he came across one of his coach, who was also at that time the RCB coach and was also the Indian coach by name Shankar Babu. It was he who made him realize how important it is to channelize your energy. It doesn't matter how energetic you are. What matters is how driven and focused you are. And if you channelize your energy rightly, then you can achieve whatever you want in life. That's when Suresh Babu, Shankar Babu, I'm confused, he introduced Virat Kohli to this Olympic way of getting trained in fitness. He first thought, let me try for 3 weeks. He tried, and that's when he understood the importance of fitness. Otherwise, just before that, he was so driven with his success that he was eating all the junks, he was partying like anything, and that caused him to hit his own fitness and not perform that well on the fields. And when he got introduced into fitness, he channelized his energy. He realized how important it is to be very driven to a sport and have a vision where you want to be. And that's when he decided to have a vision that no matter what, whenever he's on the field representing India, he will give his best. And for that best, whatever hard work that needs to be done at the background, he will do everything that is possible. I also remember he also mentioned that failure and success, no matter whatever it is, you are always responsible for it, not anybody else. So friends, the only thing I can tell you all is, no matter how many times you fail, have that drive in you, refocus yourself, make that vision back again, and stride back to that goal for whatever the goal that you are looking forward to achieve in life. And to take this meeting forward, we have someone also like that, who is always full of energy. He has a big dream, which I know very soon he will definitely, get his dream of being the world champion speaker very soon. He is a certified public speaking coach, a trainer, and he's also known as the humorist king of our club. Ladies and gentlemen, please join your hands in welcoming the Toastmaster of today's meeting, Toastmaster Ankit Kumar.
Thank you, Priyanka. The way you spoke about Virat Kohli, to me it appeared you know him more than Virat Kohli knows himself. And since you spoke about sports, I really had this speech about Virat Kohli basis the field, but now you have killed it. So let me speak about another athlete. Diego Hipólito was the most successful athletes of Brazil. You know the floor with that square shape where they run from one corner to the other, jumping, flipping, doing somersaults. He was one of those. He won the gold medal in the year 2005, silver in 2006, and gold again in 2007 in the World Championships. And he was the biggest hope of Brazil in Beijing 2008 Olympics. He reached final. And the very last movement of his, from the one corner diagonally to the other of that square box, he took a great run up. He jumped 3 meters high, took 2 flips in the air, and thump. He landed on his back. And that bad landing secured him the 6th position in that contest, in that Olympics. He went back to the board again. He restarted doing it all over again, focusing more on the jumping and flipping once again. And the next Olympics, after 4 years, he was not even qualified for the finals. And that's when he said, I feel so ashamed that I feel worse than a criminal. Thank God he did not give up. He went back again, did the practice all over again, but this time focusing only on the basics, that is landing. And this time, he landed on his feet and secured the silver medal for Brazil. After winning it, he said, in 2008, I landed on my back. In 2012, I landed on my face. And this time, I landed on my feet with my head held high. And how beautiful is this club, the Toastmasters Club, which gives the members an opportunity every time they make a mistake to go back, work on the basic, come back again and give a better presentation. Now for the benefit of the guests, who are very few today, the Toastmasters meeting is comprised of 3 sections. The first being the prepared speech section where the speaker comes in prepared. The second being the impromptu session, the extempore session, where the speaker gets the topic on spot by the table topic master. And the last being the evaluation session where the real learning happens. The entire evaluation session, before that, today we'll be skipping the table topic session because we have a special session that is called the Moments of Truth to be attended only by the members. The entire session is evaluated by a general evaluator. I'll introduce him towards the end when it's required. And the general evaluator is assisted by a tag team, the timer, our counter, and the grammarian. May I request the timer team, Toastmaster Vidya, to read out the guidelines to the audience.
Good evening, dear Toastmasters and guests.
Good evening.
As a timer, it is my duty to record, time the duration of the entire meeting and its individual parts. For today's meeting, the speeches are 5 to 7 minutes in duration. At 5 minutes, I'll hold up the green card, 6 minutes the yellow card, and 7 minutes the red card. At the end of the meeting, I'll give my report to the general evaluator and submit to the club secretary in order to become a part of the permanent record. Thank you.
May I request our counter Toastmaster Girish to state the purpose of your role.
Good evening, Toastmasters and dear guests.
Good evening.
So, in my role as an art counter today, I'll be very carefully listening to all the speeches of the speakers and also various role takers. And I would like to account for all those clutch words such as here, and filler words such as but, so, and filler phrases such as you know. And towards the end of the session, I will be reporting my summary to general evaluator with the intent to improve the overall quality of the speech of the speakers, speech quality.
Thank you. The grammarian Toastmaster Chatra.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters.
Good evening.
Grammar is something that really ties what you say on stage together. And as the grammarian, I will be taking note of the good usage of grammar and the not so good usage of grammar. And I will be reporting back to the general evaluator when called upon. We have a word of the day today, and today's word is empirical. It means based on observations or experience. So an example sentence would be, the invention of the microscope provided empirical evidence for the spread of disease through germs. I encourage you all to use the word empirical today. Back to you.
Thank you. You know, the first day I walked into the club, I asked one of the senior members, what's the difference between this club and other Toastmasters club? He said, keep the quality aside, we have the best quality of course, but whenever a speaker comes on the stage, all the people in the audience give him a thunderous round of applause. So please, let's not forget that anyone who comes on stage has to be encouraged by giving a thunderous round of applause. Done deal? Yes? You can do that? Okay, can you show me by giving a round of applause? Alright, with that, let's start the prepared speech section. The first speaker, now before I call him up on stage, we have an evaluator who is known for his bold and loud voice on stage. No, he does not scare us. It's all clear when he speaks because his voice is very clear. By profession, he's a businessman who manages properties in Bangalore and Chikmagalur. So whenever you're planning a stay in Chikmagalur, do not forget to call him. He'll get you the best deal there. I get 50 rupees for promoting his business. So can we have a round of applause for the first evaluator, Toastmaster Alan Ananda.
The purpose of the project that the speaker is going to present is for the member to practice developing and presenting a proposal. Time of please note, speech length is 5 to 7 minutes. Back to
Thank you. The first speaker is an entrepreneur and he is a producer of audios. He's an audio producer and the host of Galata podcast. He's on a mission to create some Galata with his audio. The title of his speech is The 5 Dangerous Trends for Children These Days. Can we have a huge round of applause for Toastmasters?
Thank you, start. Well, I want to talk to all of you about the 5 most dangerous trends that students are facing right now. It came about because I would constantly get DMs from students across the country. So finally, I hired independent researchers. They spent over 100 hours looking over lakhs worth of rupees of data, and this is what they came up with. So let's quickly go through it. These are the things that I'll be covering. The scary state of graduates in India today, dark shadow of the education loan, the mental health meltdown, cheers to peer pressure. We'll also talk about the astonishing cost of higher education in India and surefire solutions. There are actually 15 solutions, but I think I'll only focus on one for this conversation and a special invitation at the end of it. So let's start. I realize today is Engineers Day. It just happens to be serendipity that a lot of this focuses on engineers, but just serendipity. So in the last 2 decades, the amount of engineers that India has been creating has snowballed 17 times. In 2000, it was about 84,000 engineers every year. Today, it's over 21.5 lakh engineers that graduate every single year in this country. And if you look at this, over 50% of our GDP doesn't even require these many engineers. In fact, America, which has 3 times the GDP of India, only produces 1/15th. So we produce 15 times the amount of engineers America does, and we are still lagging behind, which is very concerning. Let's move ahead, because for every 10 lakh doctors, there's 1 crore engineers in India. That's how unequal engineers is. And if you look at it, let's talk about MBA also while we're at it. The shocking thing is 1/4 of the business schools in the world happen to be in India. And since 1969, every single month, we have been creating 5 business schools in India. That's unbelievable. That's almost 1 a week. Despite so much of supply, oh wow, that's interesting. Yeah. Despite so much of supply, the challenge is that the cost of an average MBA in this country in the last just 20 years, password is focus, all caps off. Yeah, now everybody knows that password. Right. The cost of MBA has gone up 90 times, ladies and gentlemen. This is just, it's really work. Okay. Nice.
Let's go.
Just give me 1 sec. Interesting when tech doesn't work. Okay, so let me do it from here itself. Or can I do this right here with me? Nice. Okay. So the cost of MBA has gone up 90 times in just 2 decades. Empirically, all of you have felt it, but here are the numbers. In 2004, the cost of an average MBA was about 32,000 rupees, but today, the cost of an MBA in IIM Ahmedabad is close to 33 lakh rupees. Now, the students have been constantly financing these education using loans from banks. If you observe, there were over 50,000 accounts in 2001. That means about 50,000 students took education loan, and it spiraled up to 34 lakh accounts. And then there's a dip. Now the good thing about this is all education loans in India are guaranteed by the government. So the banks tend to just give out loans left, right, and center. But here's the problem. Despite the dip in the education loan, the amount of education loan that is dispersed has only risen. That's about from somewhere in like a few thousand crores in the early 2000s to currently at 22,500 crores being dispersed. Now there's an uptick because the ticket size of our average loan has doubled in the last 4 years itself, from 5.5 lakhs to about 9 lakhs per person. The The challenge is we are having students taking these loans, but there's an education loan crisis. Over 12.5% of education loan in India are what they call as NAV, non-performing assets. But I was able to speak with the CEO of Karnataka Bank in a flight, and he told me something even more shocking. Most of the education loans in India are being paid by the parents of the student who is graduating. Nowhere in the world that happens, and it's a black flag for our education system. We read this quote directly from the CEO of the City Union Bank. I'll read it for Rajdeep sir and everyone else. There are hundreds of private colleges, engineering and arts churning out masses of students with mediocre or average skills in a tough job market. It is a supply-demand mismatch in the education job market. I don't see the situation easing when it comes to education loan. If that wasn't enough, we have an unemployment crisis. In just 6 years, India has lost 90 lakh jobs, to the tune of about 26 lakh jobs every year from 2011 to 2018. The unemployment rate of women is even more drastically low. If you realize, with the statistics I've seen, if you have 4 friends who are women, only one among them is employed. And the IT sector is suffering the most. In fact, there is a whole phase called the Great Resignation, where over 11.5 lakh employees are resigning this year itself because the skills are not matching what is required. Now, if you don't realize something that I've realized already is most of my friends are going to US. 9 out of my best friends, 7 of them have already gone to US. If you see in the last 10 years alone, we have had 85% increase in the amount of engineers and scientists that have gone to United States of America, and only like 10% have returned back. Now there's a mental health mayhem also that a lot of youngsters are facing. Over 62% of medical students have been reported to have any sign of depression, and over 35 or 36% of engineers have signs of depression. And this is all measured data, which is very shocking. And that is why I prodded the researchers to dig deeper and find solutions. They found 15 of them, and I'll share one of them, which is very relevant for the audiences here, a lot of students here, a lot of parents with students here. One of the best things that I've seen from research is a lot of recruiters. About 43% of them look for professional work ethic in youngsters, which is something that Toastmasters helps you build very early on. And over 29% of them want you to have good business communication skills, good technical flexibility in explaining very complex concepts, which is where Toastmasters comes into play. So I'm very happy that a lot of youngsters here are in Toastmasters. Now here's my proposal for the youngsters in here. In the next, I'm running a community program starting earlier this month where I'm going to 50 colleges across Karnataka, and I'm presenting this entire orientation to. It's actually 45-minute long with 300 plus slides, and it takes about 1 hour to complete. So if you're in college, please reach out to your dean and connect me to them. Or if you're a professor or associated with your university as an alumni, please do connect me to your HODs, deans and alumni office. I'll be more than happy to take this community program to your batchmates and to your juniors. Thank you. Back to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you for such eye-opening figures and letting us know that education is so expensive in India. Apparently, I saved a lot of money of my parents by not studying so much. So yeah, and at the end, you were very smart in pitching to the audience and hey, this is what I want. It's a big audience, so yeah, help me with that. I really love that. Thank you so much, Puneet. Before I move on to the next speaker, the evaluator is a man of precision, a man of details. And I regard him personally for the way he articulates the toughest sentences and expresses and communicates the messages to all of us. A Toastmaster for 7 years. Can we have a round of applause for Toastmaster Vivek Vijay?
The purpose of this speech is for the member to deliver a speech that inspires the audience. Timer, please note, as usual, 5 to 7 minutes. Thank you.
While we fly in aeroplanes, the next speech speaker designs aeroplanes. Yes, he's an aeronautical engineer, a traveler by passion, and right now he's a learner of different languages, Tamil and Spanish, the two among those. Can we give a big round of applause for? Oh wait, the title of his speech is The Great Liar. Please help me welcoming Toastmaster Vishal Basant.
Fear is the oldest emotion, and there is no fear greater than that of the unknown, says H.P. Lovecraft, an American horror author. Good evening, Toastmasters and dear guests.
Good evening.
Whenever I take up a challenge, whenever I get involved into something that is risky, there's a voice that I hear, and it speaks directly into my mind. This, I call him the great liar. Fear. Toastmasters, there are a few fears that have been stitched into our very genetics, like the fear of snakes. Any one of you might have never seen a snake in your life, but you know that you are not supposed to touch it. This is because this kind of fear helped our ancestors survive to avoid dangerous creatures and dangerous places. If fear is such a great tool, then why do I call it the great liar? Well, fear comes from other things as well. Consider a person who has been in a car accident. Now, this person might be fearful to drive a car or even sit in the passenger seat of a car. This affects his life and the way he can go about doing his work. There are many ways a phobia is born. Phobia, being another word for fear, is born either through our genetics, like the one I mentioned about the snake, or it might be because of the environment we have grown up in or what we have been taught. And it might also be, like in the case of the car accident, because of a traumatic incident that has taken place, which prevents you from doing it again. Our brain is a problem-solving machine, and every time some bad event occurs, we do not just say that event was some random cause. We connect everything that led up to that moment to the danger itself, to the event that went down and was horrible. So I went back and saw which were the most common phobias. I thought maybe it's thanatophobia, the fear of death. Or maybe it's the fear of snakes that seem to be so hardwired into us. I was surprised that there was one fear that is shared among 75% of the world's population. And it is the very reason why Toastmasters came into existence. Glossophobia, the fear of public speaking. I myself have been a victim of this phobia. The first time I came to Toastmasters, I always stuck to the wall and never spoke to anyone. And when I was called upon stage to give table topics, I was surprised. I mean, how could I give a table topics when I couldn't even look at a stranger in the eye and say, hi, hello, how are you doing? Toastmasters, I'm pretty sure I have a really good map of the ground in the hall because I entered the hall looking at the ground, scanning everything, and I went out the same way, never made eye contact. When I became a member, I was assigned a mentor, and my mentor inspired me and pushed me to give my first speech. I came on stage, I gave my first speech, and I knew it did not go as well as I intended it to go. Then I went, sat and waited for my dreaded evaluation. I thought it would be harsh and cruel. To my surprise, my then evaluator gave me a poetic evaluation, and it was very positive. And he said, I am good. And that got me confused. Maybe if I'm good for my very first speech, maybe I can be the best with some practice. My mentor already knew I could be the best. He asked me today to text him after I get the award. Very inspirational. So with this enthusiasm and this gusto, I came back on stage for my second speech. The first one happened over Zoom. The second one was on this stage. And I did not realize how different it would be. Because when I came here, I sung a cacophony. It wasn't a song, but it was a cacophony of ahs, ums, and ahas. Accountant, I was a part of the speech. Please don't include that. This disheartened me so much that I became very irregular to the club and I stopped speaking. Now, if I was scared of snakes, I could just go hide in a corner. If I was scared of driving, I could just stop driving. But how do you stop yourself from speaking? I had become so scared of just talking to another person. And every time I had to look at a stranger, say hi, how are you doing? Or whenever I had to speak up in class, that fear started reducing. So I came back to Toastmasters and started giving speeches more regularly. And I take every opportunity to come on stage. I found that I had 3 cures, which I will share. 3 cures to any fear. First is knowledge, then mistakes, and then practice. So knowledge, the most powerful tool given to human beings. Every time I knew what I was going to do on stage, I practiced my material. That made me less afraid of what is going to happen next. This does not mean that you will know what is going to happen. If you can predict the future, then I want to meet with you. I want to know what my future is. But you cannot. So you can practice and then go over your material. The second is mistakes. Not just making mistakes, but knowing that I will make mistakes made a huge difference. A book written by Viktor Frankl, The Man's Search for Meaning, he gave a concept where if you come on stage and you are afraid of making one mistake, challenge yourself to make 3 mistakes. This makes the entire mistake such a trivial process that you are no longer afraid of it. The more you allow yourself to make mistakes, the more well your speech comes out. Then third, the crown jewel, practice. The more you practice, the more situations you put yourself into, the more you adapt, the more easier it is to adapt to anything that comes your way. Charles Darwin said that it is not the strongest or the most intelligent creature that survives, it is the most adaptable. So the more you practice, the better you become at adapting. Fear might be a great liar, but it can teach you true lessons, and it taught me courage. If you can feel fear, you can rise above it. To conclude, Toastmasters and guests, the 3 cures are knowledge, mistakes, and practice. Over to you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Vishal, for giving us a perfect manual on how to face fears. Let me assure you, you have a great future in this journey of public speaking. Now, before I call upon the third speaker, the evaluator is someone who speaks to be remembered. You give him any spot, he will ace it with his stories that he brings from the past. He is a champion in speaking in all the formats and an educator by profession. Can I have Dr. DTM Rajdeep Manwani? Can I have Jeevan to read out the guidelines of the project for Dr. Rajdeep Manwani?
So, very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The purpose of this speech for the members to remember to practice writing a speech with an emphasis on adding language to increase interest and impact. Timer, please note the time allotted for the speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Over to speaker.
Thank you. Can you have a round of applause? Well, the next speaker is a senior IT manager, has been a Toastmaster for more than 7 years now. Now he's that student of the class. You remember the students who we used to ask during exams, have you studied? And they said, no, I have not studied at all. You ask him anytime he's about to speak, are you prepared? He's like, hey, I'm not prepared at all. But he comes on stage and kills it every time he comes. A marathon runner by passion, can we have a big round of applause for Toastmaster Vijay Kalkundri? The title of his speech is Rain, Rain, Go Away.
Every day morning, when I am getting ready to drop my daughter to school, it is her daily ritual to repeat the same poems and rhymes which has been taught in our school. It all starts with wheels on the bus go round and round. Then it moves on to twinkle, twinkle, little star. And then it is I am special. And then it's watermelon, watermelon. Just like any other day, I was sipping the glass of water standing in my balcony and listening to her hum all those songs. But today was slightly different. She had a new rhyme in that particular verse. It was rain, rain, go away. As I was sipping my glass of water and looked toward the sky, it appeared like a blue canvas with cotton balls scattered here and there. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and all the victims of rain, good evening.
Good evening.
31st August 2023 was a special day. It was my mother's birthday. And just like a busy bee, she was getting calls from all her friends, family, relatives, and wishing her happy birthday, wishing her for a good and a prosperous, healthy life ahead. That's when my cousin called me to say, hey Vijay, why don't you plan for a surprise party for auntie today evening? I thought, okay, that's a good plan. I told her, why don't you plan and execute that plan? Without any option being, she agreed for it. And that's when we all remained calm and composed without showing an iota of suspicion to my mom that there is going to be a surprise party at the end. The day progressed as we had planned. In the evening, all of my family left to temple for a small puja. The sky appeared to be clear. That's when I made an excuse to them saying that, oh, I remembered a very important work to be done, I'll stay back. And after half an hour they had left, my cousin arrived with her mom. And we all set up the evening very nicely. She had brought a yummy cake, which had a soft and a fluffy structure to it. And when I opened the cake, it appeared like a slice of heaven. I wanted to eat the cake, but resisted myself because the cake was for the occasion to cut. That's when at sharp 9 p.m., I remember, my family arrived and my mother was ecstatic. She saw my cousin and her mother after a long time. We had decked up the entire room and we all, as like any other birthday celebration, we cut the cake. We ate lot of food and lot of sweets followed with it. I could feel the sweet in my throat. So I had gurgled so many. As I was eating the last slice of a sweet, I looked in the window. And the first few words that came out of my mouth were, ooh la la. Because the clear sky, which was there previously, was now filled with clouds, and within no moment, just like Bangalore's weather, which is predictably unpredictable, started raining cats, dogs, monkeys, and donkeys. My cousin, who had to go to office very early in the morning, rushed to me and said she has to leave now. She opened up the ride-sharing apps, which is usually filled with dots of cabs and autos, was appearing like clean slate. And I looked out the window and I could not see any vehicles movement on the road. That's when I decided, I told my cousin, don't worry, I'm going to leave you guys to home. That's when I took my car, and as we were driving below the metro pillar, from 300 to 400, there was gush of waterfall falling on our car. And it was in a rhythmic movement. Zoop, zoop. And my daughter, who usually goes to sleep at 10:30, was stark awake with that sound when she was coming with us. And just like traversing through all those muddy puddled roads, we went to the lanes and by lanes, we dropped them and were coming back. The road appeared like a clean road, like someone had washed the road. It was so clean. The rain had stopped. That's when I boarded the Hanuman temple bridge. And that's when my mother called me asking if all is fine. And I assured her, oh, I'll be home in next 15 minutes. As I was going through the rain, I was in for a shock and a kind of excitement. Can I have a show of hands if anyone of you has seen drains, small, medium, large in Bangalore? If you put all the water, what you have seen in any of the drains together, then you will get that drain called Rishabhavati drain. The drain, which is 40 feet deep and 20 feet wide, was flowing to its brim. The water, I was excited. I had never seen such a rush of water. If there was any sports enthusiast that day, he would have tried to venture for a water skiing in that particular water. So I thought that's normal. I took a turn, and as I took a turn, my excitement fizzled off because I had another shock of my life. There was water level which was raising. There were vehicles which were honking. There was policeman who was requesting. My wife was instructing, water level was rising, and my heart was thumping. Vehicles honking, policeman requesting, my wife instructing, water level rising, and my heart was thumping. That is when two vehicles tried to venture into the water, and they froze. They froze. They could not move. And that's when I calmed my mind, and my empirical brain said that you should stay calm and smooth. I ventured into a small lane and followed the lane left, right, straight, left, right, and exited into a lane which finally led me to the main road. And I heaved a sigh of relief. That's when my heart, my poetic heart, came up with a new poem. It said, rain, rain, go away. Please listen to what I say. I don't want you to stay. Come again another day. Back to the Toastmaster.
Thank God you did not get wet. Speech. Before I call upon the next speaker, the evaluator is a salesperson by profession who can sell ice to Eskimos. Yes, he's such a good salesperson that whenever he joins a different startup, that startup becomes a unicorn. Can we have a round of applause for Toastmaster Karunakar?
The purpose of this project is for the member to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspect of previous experience as a protege. That means any young member who is helped or trained for the development by an older or a more trained member. Time duration is 5 to 7 minutes. Over to you.
Thank you. At the very end, we'll give a round of applause for you. The next speaker is a finance professional who has recently started his entrepreneurial journey. He is helping startups establish their financial system. He's also an author of the book called Of Grit and Guts. So if you have time, please purchase it and read it. It's dedicated to his father. The title of his speech today is Above and Beyond Toastmasters. Can we have a round of applause for Toastmaster Ganesh Pai?
It takes anywhere between 5 to 25 years to become a DPM in Toastmasters. But I achieved that feat within the first 2 years. Friends and Toastmasters. No, I'm not talking about becoming a distinguished Toastmaster. I had become a donating Toastmaster. In my first 2 years at BTMC, I generously donated to the treasury. I was so regularly irregular. In one of the meetings, President thought I was a guest and asked me to introduce myself. In fact, my first 2 years of existence at Toastmasters can be summed up in these words of Julius Caesar. I came, I saw, and I left. Then in the third year, something magical happened. I met a DTM, a real one. One day, in a chance encounter outside of Toastmasters, I happened to meet DTM Dr. Rajdeep Manwani, and we instantly hit it off. And during the conversation, I told him, sir, I'm also a member of BTMC. He was stunned. But then he asked, hey, how's it going at BTMC? I said, sir, nothing's happening. And I told him, I sort of lost my way. And during the course of conversation, somehow mustered the courage and sheepishly asked him, sir, can you please mentor me? He thought for a moment and then agreed. Then next day morning, he called me and asked me, hey, why you had joined Toastmaster? As I laid out my whole objective, he realized he's a corporate guy. Unless you give him a target, he'll not move. So he said, Ganesh, fine. This term you have to give this many speeches. Next term, so many speeches. So he gave me a target. And I started writing speeches. He started reviewing it at incredible speed. And just to give you a sense of progress I made, my first 2 speeches took me 2 years. And in next 1.5 years, I delivered 8 speeches. I also won a Best Speaker of the Term award for one of the terms and also completed my Competent Communicator manual. Then in one of the terms, when my dear friend, or rather our dearest friend, Vivek, decided to contest for election, I also decided to join the committee. And then again I went and sought his counsel, Dr. Rajdeep Manwani. He said, Ganesh, maybe you should try something which is outside of your comfort zone. Why not go for a VPPR role? I agreed. I won the elections, then again went to him. I said, sir, what do you think I should do? He said, look, I'm not going to tell you what you should do, it's up to you. But in whatever you do, be bold. And that became a sort of a war cry for us. And I said, fine, whatever we are going to be doing in that term, it will be a moonshot. And we did a lot of new things like video podcasts, raising the standards of the club newsletter, or the icing of the cake, which is featuring the 2 iconic members of our club, DTM Vijay Anand and Dr. Rajdeep Manwani himself in the Toastmaster International magazine. So again, in this leadership journey, he was someone who showed me the path by giving a very poor objective. Even now, he still does this goal setting. At the beginning of this term, he shot off an email saying, Ganesh, you're always on top of my mind, but I think you should also keep coming on top of the stage. Because last few years I was busy in my own world and had not given many speeches. So he said, then I called him and he said, no, I mean, you just give 1 speech a month and I'll get you the slot, don't worry. But 1 speech a month is the ask what I offer you. So like this, over the years, Dr. DTM Rajdeep Manwani has been extremely supportive in helping me level up my game and staying connected with the Toastmasters. And if his support in my Toastmaster journey has been exemplary, his ability to discover new skill within me is legendary. One day, while reviewing my speech, out of blue he said, Ganesh, why don't you start writing a blog? It stunned me. Then I realized for 5 to 7 minute speech, my word count for a speech used to be 1,000 words. So he said, you have a lot to say, so I think the stage time won't be enough for you, so why don't you start writing a blog? And that's how I discovered the writing skills within me. Until today, he has read all my blogs. Not only that, last year when I decided to write a book on my father's, which is my father's biography, he was one of those early few I discussed the idea. He encouraged, and not only that, he connected me to a writing coach and reviewed the early draft and ensured my motivation was high till I really did the book launch. Looking back, I'm stunned how our mentor-mentee relationship has outgrown these 4 walls of Ashirwad and public speaking or leadership domain. These days, we often exchange notes on latest management thinking, books, business strategy, at times even our difficult spouse. Our bond is seeming, yet seamless. Our relationship is one of the finest examples how one can use mentor-mentee relationship in Toastmaster, how you can start with that, but which can actually grow above and beyond the Toastmasters. I just want to conclude my speech by saying, DTM Dr. Rajdeep Manwani, I'm truly grateful to you for all that you have done to me and all that you mean to me. Thank you so much.
Truly said, Toastmaster Ganesh, there's so much to get from the club. Your speech reminded me of the podcasts that you were doing when you were the VPPR, am I correct?
Yeah.
When anyone is free, please go ahead, just type Bangalore Toastmasters podcast. You'll get to see some amazing insights from the experts of our club. You also said you were very irregular at one time. Trust me, guys, at one time we both were so irregular that once we met, we thought both of us were guests. Please don't be irregular. If you remember, be regular with that. As I said, there's a lot to gain from the Toastmasters Club. It's not just speaking, also a lot of friends that you can make during the networking break that has to start now. So you have 5 minutes, it's a networking break, make some new friends, talk to new people, and come back after 5 minutes. Thank you. Request everyone to sit down. Okay, with that, we start the evaluation session, the learning session, where the champions get the recipe to become better every time they come the next time. And to evaluate the entire session, remember I told you there's a supervisor who is evaluating the entire session. We have someone who was in the IT industry for several years, but then he thought, you know what, I want a more adventurous life. So he left the job and became an entrepreneur in the solar space and successfully ran a company. And if you have to know the right exit strategy, you have to consult with him because his company got acquired by another company at a huge price. Can we have a round of applause for the general evaluator of the day, Toastmaster Somashekar?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Good evening. It was 1942 when Dr. Albert Einstein was a professor at Oxford University. So he gives this exam to a class full of physics students. He finishes the exam, or the students finish the exam, and he comes out of the hall, and his assistant comes running to him. And he tells, "Sir, you have given a question paper which was the same as last year. You give the same set of questions to the same set of students." Einstein for a moment said, "Yes, I did that." For which assistant said, "What is going on? Isn't that unfair?" For which he replied, "The questions were the same, but the answers this year are different." Dear friends, that is applicable even today. Right? So many times you would have attempted something where you have failed, but then you can always think of starting over again, correct? Because the solution for that would be something different. As time changes, the results also change. You may get a totally different result when you attempt it the next time. So that's what happens in Toastmasters as well. This is a forum wherein you can come and attempt things over and over again. You can try new things, and that's what we do week after week. And literally it happens. Icebreaker speech, many of us have given at least 3 or 4 times. Pathways, they have really forced us to take icebreaker again. And wasn't the feeling different? So we thought it's after all this icebreaker, I'm telling you about myself. But to me, when I gave my second icebreaker, the whole, the way I thought was totally different. So it's always good to get back to your drawing board. And today, about the meeting. The meeting started by our great Kattappa, right at 6:30. Even before that, I think 6:20, he said the audience was ready. What an energy he brings into the lecture. Yeah. Let's give a big round of applause. For the energy, as I told you, the voice and the way he starts the meeting. Now, if you have an opportunity, Kolappan, to start over as a sergeant at arms week after week. So there are few observations, according to me, this is my personal opinion, where you could change a format a bit. Great thing, I've seen you very innovative. Today is an SRP and there's a lot of humor in there, which is good. But I feel you should go with the flow of the initial thought or the quote and the story which you want to say. Go with that bang at the beginning. Otherwise, I see there's an interruption. You suddenly forget what you need to say, and then come back and tell your stories. Instead, all the regular stuffs of SRP, switching off the phones, I think you can tell it later also. So you could probably change the format and see how the result will be. But the good thing, you had a quote today, you had your own story, also it works. Alright? Okay, another round of applause. Then we had our acting president, Toastmaster Priyanka. Now, if I talk about Priyanka, I can talk about her so much because it's not the work you do on the stage, right? Off the stage, the way the content's coming in, BTMC, a group, and other way, she's so active all the time. It looks like she's running the entire show. And today she had an opportunity to do it here. That too how ad hoc. It was like a table topic session for her today. Sonia and our president could not come here, and she did the role very well. She remembered her. It's good to remember Virat Kohli. That was really inspiring message, Priyanka. One small suggestion. You started the meeting here, and then which is very good. You come up here and people can really see you completely and the scope for demonstrating your body language. But I felt you had to open the meeting, right? So my personal suggestion is that you can open the meeting and then go back and actually attest him until you can continue with the message you are to give. So today I felt suddenly when you came back here, you were searching for a gather, right? All right. So another round of applause for Priyanka. And the way she introduced the master of ceremony, I think he left the room here. Yeah, he told me that he had to go, but then he said he will watch the video. So if Ankit, you are watching, there are some sessions for you. But before that, the way you connected from your story, and you also said that, okay, you connected to the introduction as well. So that is really great. Now, Ankit, we all know he is a humorous speaker, and he demonstrated that very well throughout the speech. So one feedback, our counter, did you know how many hours he had?
You will get to know now. I'm waiting for my turn.
Right, but no, I did notice that there were quite a few hours in his speeches. So probably that's something Ankit, you can work on, or the accountant will mention about it. Now, one great thing you did is involving the audience. How did he do that? The activity he did. It can be a small activity, but then he said, we need to applaud. And I could see the result of that through the meetings. I saw Vishal really give an applause until he asked him to stop. So for that, great job done, Ankit. Let's give him a great round of applause. One question to you. Which was the sport he mentioned and what was that athlete's name?
Diego Pereto, and the sport was gymnastics.
Well, he said that one box to another. I didn't really get it.
Yeah.
So I know, square box, jumping, and all that. Yeah, so you need to clarify that until next time. So I don't know, since he took up Virat Kohli, he pulled out some name and. All right. Okay. Then we had our feedback speech session. May I call upon the evaluator Toastmaster to give.
With the purpose of developing and presenting a proposal, target speaker Puneet, let's dive right into your speech. Puneet, in terms of clarity, your spoken language was clear and very easily understood by everybody. You, of course, were amazingly well attired and brimming with confidence, and you had a very self-assured nature while you were on stage. Having said that, Puneet, there were many things I couldn't wrap my head around when it came to your presentation, which was, your title was 5 Dangerous Trends Facing Students. But by the end of your talk, I did not understand when the 5 points started and when they ended. It was an overwhelming, though thought-provoking information was that I didn't know where the 5 points were. The other thing is about how you introduce the topic. Now, for example, how many of you have opened Facebook, Google, or Instagram today? Did you notice what was trending? But I'm sure, let me introduce you to something that you may not have noticed. Guys, here are the 5 most dangerous trends. I'm sure many of them did not catch this topic. I personally felt your tone, speech, and volume required practice, in the sense that I felt you were on a fast and furious journey, and so were your slides. So there was a lot of information. So if you had broken it down, given people to think, because great information, but from MBBS to engineering to IT, I didn't know what pace it was going at. So I just felt that would have been. Sample this. Did you know students' loans are not up by 10? They're not up by 20, but a whopping 30% in the last decade. One, tone, voice, the way you present it, and just calming down about your thing. And I just felt you had a lot of information to cover and you were just hurtling on. Also, I felt it was a missed opportunity to make it more interactive. No doubt, Puneet, your speech was thought-provoking, but your final proposal, after listing all the disturbing trends, I felt personally lacked a solution-driven approach as to how, why, what one will learn with your orientation, especially when you want it referred. Given all these facts, and because of the unfortunate technological mishaps, Puneet, I strongly advise you to present this speech again and deliver what I can safely say would be an exemplary, thought-provoking speech back to the general audience.
That was an awesome evaluation by Alan Rana, and well, it seems like he has read from my notes. Puneet, one of the things I really like is the way you manage the crisis, because you tend to really give up when such things happen, but your presence of mind is great, and we have to be always prepared for that when we are using especially the high fundamental assets. Alright, so speech well given, and Puneet is always our hero. Let's give a big round of applause. Speaker number 2, after the great violator, Toastmaster Vivek Jain.
Toastmaster Vishal was attempting to inspire the audience to just even or for the new Toastmasters and for the guests. This is one of the toughest projects, even for people with extreme experience in their life, in their 50s, 60s, or whatever. They find it very difficult to deliver a speech that inspires the audience because of the very nature of it. So I'm setting up that very much so that you understand the nature of this. And for someone like him who's in the early 20s, it's much tougher. Vishal, having said all this, what are the aspects of this speech that tick the boxes for an inspirational speech? One, inspirational speech should do a very good KYC. I mean, know your, not customer, know your audience. Okay? And in the Maslow's need-based hierarchy, once we have food, clothing, shelter, and the second one is the basic needs, what we really need, what what all of us have is we need self-esteem, right? And as we go towards self-esteem, one thing that holds us back in self-esteem within ourselves is fear. And he exactly knew what this audience needed. It's very difficult to know what this audience needed. So fear as a main point is a very good topic to choose for such a speech. And then there is a clear takeaway. Clear takeaway in terms of I think knowledge, mistake, and practice. It's a way out of. So if I even with all this, I think I still remember as I go home next week or something, what is a way out of fear? Because everybody has fear, regardless of how bold they, portray, how courageous they portray, they have fear. Now, also you invoked a need in the audience and generated a hope. Okay, you have fear, but you are not. There is a way out of hope. Because you can say that fear is this and you are ruined. Oh, then that's a different thing altogether. That's a way to change. But every speech, if you were to deliver this inspirational speech, say at your school, if the headmaster calls you and says, "Oh, Vishal, why don't you give an inspirational speech?" This is what you can do. Inspirational speech must be driven hugely on emotional appeal and not very less on logic. So the first 30% of your speech was mostly theory. So what you should have started off with is your early days of Toastmaster, how you were struggling on the stage and how you had palpitations each time you came on the stage, etc. So the 30% of theory initially does not really appeal to the left side of, to the right side of the brain. Then speeches usually can be at the audience, to the audience, or with the audience. Inspirational speeches are expected to be with the audience. So when you adopt a conversational style, it's difficult, but you spoke at the audience. It was more like a teacher. You gave the theory, etc., and you were telling how to come up with the fear, how to cope up with the fear, but it was more of a classroom type than a teacher. But anyway, Vishal, in conclusion, you know to get the pulse of the audience and select relatable topic. That's very good. And next step, you should appeal to the emotion and very less to the logic. And so the purpose of the speech will be, you have to move from the purpose of the speech, which became not really inspire the audience, but inform the audience. So move from informing the audience to inspiring the audience, and I think it should be a reasonably decent inspiring speaker.
That was an inspiring evaluation by Vivek Vijay, definitely. Vishal, as you mentioned, it is tough and you did great. There's one tip, this is probably applicable for all the speakers. At the end, we have the habit of saying, to conclude. I personally believe, and they also say that, that should not be used. As soon as you say to conclude, the audience switch off their brain, is what I find. So next, whatever you say, they know that, okay, you guys are acting it. So we not use that word to conclude, right? You had a very good phrase after that. You can just say that and over to the Toastmaster. All right. So with that, let's give a big round of applause to. Evaluator number 3. No, that inspiration is to the next level. So welcome Toastmaster Rajiv Marwan.
Fellow Toastmasters, General Evaluator, and Vijay Kalpundri in particular. Today happens to be Engineer's Day, and you transformed yourself from a software engineer to an engineer of birds. So you were brilliant, and your topic and your actual project guidelines were to create impact and interest by using this descriptive language. So let's see what you did extremely well today, Vijay. First, how did you create an impact? You created an impact by painting word pictures. There was a canvas of blue in the sky with those puffs of white clouds. You created that by the gushing drain. You created that by that soft fluffy cake. So you had brilliant word pictures which made us imagine what was happening in your speech. So that was brilliant. And how else did you create an impact? By creating sounds, right? Ooh la la, zook, zook, zook. Your daughter says wheels go round and round. she should be saying, Daddy, you create a lot of sound. Right? You have created that. How did you create interest? You created interest by narrating very, very simple experiences of your life, your mother's birthday, how you dropped your cousin, and small things which become very mundane, but you observed that and you created interest in that, and you also created interest by brilliant humor. It was raining cats, dogs, donkeys, monkeys, and then Jeevan told me he's looking at you, sir. And you created it by telling it, oh, you plan and you execute the plan to your cousin. So you actually created brilliant humor throughout, and there were pieces of humor. So that was the interest part. So both these boxes were ticked. Now what could you have done better, Vijay? One, I think so you used word pictures, but there are several other elements of words which you could have used, like a simile. My daughter, her face was fresh as a daisy. That's a simile. You could have used a simile. You could have used triads. When my cousin looked out of the window, she was disappointed, dejected, and disgusted because it was raining so heavily. Remember the triad? D, correct or no? Or you could have used personification. The clouds were weeping buckets of tears. You're creating a person in the form of cloud. So use other techniques, just not using word pictures. And secondly, might be you could have created a nice, interesting tie-up to the entire thing by telling, in life we have so many incidents, but life is so beautiful with all these small incidents, whether it's my mother's birthday or it's a rain. There are ups and downs, but life always is beautiful, and that would have created a brilliant word picture. What I want to tell you is, Vijay, your daughter says, twinkle, twinkle, little star. You are a word and humor superstar. So I want to end by your saying, which you said, rain, rain, go away. I want to compose a poem and tell you, Vijay Kalkundri, come again. We want to listen to you because you're the audience's gain. And if BTMC is a warehouse, you're one of its finest grain. Thank you.
Couldn't have asked for a better evaluator, Vijay. Big round of applause to Rajdeep. Vijay, one thing I liked is when they announced the title of your speech, I could see the interest in the audience. I think this is something for every speaker. It's good to have a good title, and you announce it initially, then the interest is already there, and the audience are looking for curiously what it is. I think your title was brilliant. And when we were talking about what we call as Kengeri Falls, I just remembered this message today. Happy Engineers Day for all the engineers except the ones who built Hebbard flyover and Air Market. So that is Kengeri Falls. But the way you played with words, Vijay, it was simply amazing. Let's all give a big round of applause to evaluator number 4, although it appears 1 there, you know why. That is Toastmasters Karnataka Day.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The fourth speaker, Ganesh Pai. Firstly, Ganesh, a fantastic speech delivered by you. It brought out certain things that we knew about a person, but did not have words to describe that person, right? The biggest highlight of your speech today, I found out, was a fantastic structure. Right from being regularly irregular, when you got into a journey of polishing your skills, you know, how you increase your stage time, working on your speeches, developing skills to blogging, and then becoming an author, you completed the complete cycle, right? So it felt fantastic listening to this speech. It felt like, okay, this is how an ideal journey should have been, right? Where you struggle at the beginning, but then you get the push from your leader who tells you what to do, what not to do, and then you progress on the right path, right? Your complete speech was sprinkled by humor, even that seems to have some contribution by your master, by your mentor. Obviously, we all know that Radev is a fantastic humorous speaker. And yes, you were able to bring out Rajdeep's contribution at every juncture. It seemed like he was completely tied to your journey of progress, right? That it gave you that impression that okay, he was with me in thick and thin. And by doing so, I felt that the audience was at complete comfort. Audience was involved. They were nodding at whatever you were saying. They resonated with your ideas of how impactful Rajdeep has been into your life, right? So that showed that you were able to bring out what the audience was looking for. You were able to bring out what audience has been experiencing by that specific person. And from that, that seems to be the biggest takeaway for me, because audience knows it. They do not have the word, but you gave words to them to describe the person. The only and only suggestion I have for you here is that a fair bit of your speech felt like a narration. You could have had a bit more of voice modulation. You could have probably had a bit of body language as well, in which you take one part of the stage, showcasing where you are and what has been the to and fro communication by your mentor, right? That would have added more life to what you already delivered a fantastic speech. Otherwise, to do a fantastic justification to the person that you have as your mentor and to be showcasing how lucky you are to be having him, you have done a fantastic job as a speaker. Put your hands up for Ganesh Pai, everybody.
Thank you, Toastmaster Karnakar Dev. That was a meticulous evaluation. Let's go down. What is the best takeaway from Ganesh Pai's speech today? Humor. When you say humor, we think that it is about telling jokes or having some funny one-liners, right? But in a very simple way, the way he was actually describing his journey, he did it very nicely. That's something you need to really learn from Ganesh Pai. Big round of applause for I was just thinking, who are all my mentees, when I can hear such speeches. All right, okay. Now, Toastmasters is always data-driven. We quantify things. Like, we have a tag team here who will tell us about 3 different aspects. May I invite Toastmaster Vidya to give your report on the timer. Toastmaster Vidya, please.
Except 2 speakers, the others were within the time limit. Toastmaster Kolakal exceeded by 1 minute, it was 4 minutes. And evaluator Vivek Vijayan exceeded by 20 seconds. Otherwise, everybody was within the time limit.
Toastmaster Girish, the art counter for today.
So today in my role as art counter, I was trying to resonate with my father for a moment, because in his role as a traffic policeman, he would always be waiting for someone to deviate and he would catch hold of him. And then in my role today as an art counter, I was waiting for someone who could use clutch words or pillar words. But surprisingly, maybe I'll also cross check on the video, Toastmaster Somsekhar, except for Toastmaster Vivek Vijayan, all of them have used the stretch words less than 5 numbers. So yeah, this is one thing I am really happy with. So most of them, I'm using lots of stretch words except for that. Yeah, the flow was flawless. Awesome, thank you.
Okay, please put your hand together for Remedial for the day-to-day chat.
Thank you, Toastmaster Somsekhar. I was very happy being the grammarian today because everyone had such good examples that I was impressed by. For example, we had stitched into our very genetics. Our brain is a problem-solving machine. Blue canvas with cotton balls scattered here and there, without showing an iota of suspicion. and of course rained cats and dogs and monkeys and donkeys. Slice of heaven, predictably unpredictable. We also had some great vocabulary being used. Serendipity, dispersed, gusto, cacophony, moonshot, palpitations. There were some instances where some of you could have improved your grammar. For example, channelize your energy could have been channel your energy. Within no moment could have been within moments. Leave you guys to home could have been drop you guys home. All that you've done to me should have been all that you've done for me. The word of the day was used by two Toastmasters. Toastmasters Puni and Toastmaster Vijay Kalkundi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Chaitra. So from my experience, one of the suggestions people give is the usage of guys. I don't know if that is still applicable. No, we are not supposed to use that term. I'm not very sure about it. So it's something for the committee to think and explain. So we have got a great writer that yours Paul. All right. With the link is up. Okay. So now it's time to undo what our Kolappan sir told us. You can pick up your mobile phones. See the link here. Now the password is the meeting number. That's becoming a habit. I think I can vote remotely now. It's 1394. Hope you have members have finished voting. As the Toastmaster mentioned initially, we are not having one important session, what we call it as a table topics session. So your time is up, right? Otherwise, I thought we can give a demo. All right, let's do that then. Okay. Any guests willing to come here and speak? Yeah, Toastmasters is a place wherein we will applaud you and okay, so who wants to inspire the guests? Yes. Okay, so we have Toastmasters. Yeah, you know. Yes. Yes, let's put our hands together to okay, so Gokul Raj. So, which is the last movie you have seen, Gokul?
Last movie.
Jailer. Okay, so he's gonna give a 2 minutes review about Jailer. All right, over to you, Gokul Raj.
Okay, I thought I have to give feedback of the.
It's a feedback about the movie.
Okay. No spoilers. Great. Because whenever I tend to see a review of any movie, I'll immediately fast forward to last 10 seconds or 20 seconds. Because in those 10 seconds and 20 seconds only the review will happen. No any spoilers. Same as I told, today I have planned one movie. So I just saw the last 10 seconds. On speaking to the topic, Jailer, the movie, as you know, it was done by the great super actor, superstar Rajnikant, And the movie, it had less expectations before the movie, since it was the director's previous picture was not so good, not so great hit. But this movie, with the review, with the background music and stuff, it had a great impact. And on the feedback of the movie, it's a how to say, it's a family picture, and it has a lot of commercial elements to it. With the background score and stuff, it elevated the movie with the action sequence of Superstar, and at this age he elevated the scenes to a great level. So I recommend the movie to be watched.
Thank you so much, and I really like your conclusion. Table topics is all about that. You are called here and you don't know what topic you're going to speak. That's what happens in the real world where you're not prepared for things. So that's where Toastmasters really helps you. So with that note, I thank all the assignments today here. Everyone are brilliant. I'm really glad that I witnessed 4 great speeches and 4 great evaluations today. With that note, I hand over the meeting back to our President, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, General Evaluators, for such a wonderful feedback and insights. Your feedback and insights have always helped us level up, and I'm sure we will always work towards leveling up. I would also like to share with you all 2 announcements. One is that we have our evaluation and table topic contest, which will be held on 13th October. I request all of you to please actively participate, at least understand how the contest will be and experience that. Second announcement that I would like to share with you all is the renewals for the following term. If members have not renewed for the term October to March, I request you all to please renew by September 28th, so that will help our treasurer to do the remaining process on time. I really want to thank all the role takers and the speakers, everyone who are present over here, for making this meeting a really wonderful and an energetic meeting. Thank you so much. Now the next session that we're going to have is only for the members. So I request all the guests to please connect with our Vice President Membership, Joseph Paul sir, and he will share you all the details regarding the club. You can probably join him now with regarding to all the processes regarding our club. And I would like to call, I will give you all probably 3 minutes to probably get yourself in place, because next we're going to have the most important thing, which is only for our members, that is the Moments of Truth, which will be conducted by our President, Toastmaster Shashank. I request all the guests. Please join our Vice President membership.